Hey everybody, this week we have a guest on the show for the very first time. We are very excited for you to hear this episode. We had a blast speaking with Heather Papp, an inspirational school leader from Ontario, Canada. She's just a joy to listen to. We know that you will enjoy her story and absolutely get something from it. Hope you enjoy. Take care. Welcome to Becoming a Principal, the podcast for aspiring educational leaders. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Matt. Our mission is to inspire and support educators considering leadership roles so they can add value to the communities they serve.
Today we are excited to have our first guest. She is an inspiring school leader with experience as an administrator in K-8 schools, and she's currently making a significant impact as an administrator at an adult learning school in Waterloo Region. Additionally, she's a faculty member at Wilfrid Laurier University, teaching a professional learning seminar that helps future educators reflect on and develop their practice. Heather Papp, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Heather, we are thrilled to have you here today, so let's dive right into it. To start, could you share what first drew you to the field of school administration and what sparked your interest in that?
Okay, so let's get right to it then. To be honest, I wasn't really looking at school administration right away, nor did I think it was for me. I was very happy teaching in my intermediate classroom, coaching teams and extracurriculars, and running events within the school community. However, I also loved working with new teachers and supporting them more informally around the needs of setting up a classroom community. My classroom was one of the many rooms where colleagues would just hang out and discuss school matters, and I really, really liked that. Then my current principal and a mentor to me approached me about leadership on multiple occasions, and this kind of led me to think, well, maybe I should just go to an information session, but I still wasn't sure about it. But here I am now, and sometimes I just feel like people see things in you that you may not see in yourself. So I was happy for that mentor to kind of push me in that direction.
I love that. I can feel the energy from what Heather's saying.
There you go.
Right? And I love that you talked about people kind of coming to your room as the place to sort of hang out. We experienced that a little bit as an administrator. What do you think, Matt?
Oh, yeah, all the time. All the time.
We entertain a lot of people in our office, right?
Well, we have
in
an
a positive way, though, too, right?
Well,
in a positive way.
We also have an open door policy.
As best we can.
We want to welcome that as much as we can, yes.
Absolutely. So if you're already doing that as a teacher, yeah, I would say that would transition well. It's a good skill to have that people are coming to you, right? They're coming.
Yes, no, absolutely. And I think there's so many teachers that we work with right now that have that open door policy, and it's
Absolutely.
this kind of leadership that happens just authentically within the school, and that to me is just super inspiring to see.
Absolutely. Matt and I discussed that actually quite a bit. Who are the people that people are going to? Because it doesn't always show up maybe in the formal leadership title that they have, but informally, they're leaders. People go to them, right? So.
And how can they be celebrated? That's one of the other big things that I think about all the time is how can I celebrate those people who are really kind of doing that leadership piece informally in the school? Yeah.
That's a great point. I'm sure you did a great job of it.
We try.
I bet you acknowledge that they do it, though.
We do acknowledge. Right. I do try to acknowledge, and I try to engage. You try to be part of it, too. But part of it as a participant and still continue to let them lead, which I think is really important. Because as a principal, sometimes they see when you walk in the room, they kind of shut down, and they might think, she needs to kind of lead this. But no, I'm sitting there as a learner alongside of you. So I think that's really, really key. So let people shine around you. Because I don't have the answers. The answers are around me.
That's a good quote right there.
Yeah, we could go a lot of different ways with what you just said. How do you cultivate that too? That's also a skill. Mm-hmm. How can you cultivate the relationship so that when you walk into a room, people don't just defer to you as the expert in the room? Mm-hmm. And that takes some time for sure. I mean, I've been in rooms where I've felt I needed to acquiesce or lower myself to someone that came in more senior too. Mm-hmm. But there's times where I've had more people, senior people in the room, I didn't feel that. Mm-hmm. So what was it about their leadership that allowed me to be me as best I could? Yeah. Think about that all the time. So that's a great point. When you can go into a room, people can just kind of not carry on like normal, but feel that they can kind of be normal. That's amazing.
I completely agree. And I also think and you guys have talked about this on the podcast in the past, just with regards to building relationships and how key that really is. And so when you're comfortable with the people in the room, you can naturally kind of go into that quiet space if you need to, or be that person that's going to be shining and showy. And I think that once you feel safe and trusting in the people in the room, I think you can truly just be authentic, including with a senior team or a senior admin that maybe you may not know very well, but you know that they know that you are capable. And so I think that just creates safety. And we all need safety, even as admin. We need safe and secure environments, big time. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you, I know I felt it, and I'm sure you felt it too, where there's times where you maybe don't feel, not that you don't feel safe, but not as safe, right? And what contributes to that, and what contributes to the feeling of being safe and be able to contribute your true self. That's great. I love that.
I think, too, when you talk about that, I think you guys have also shared about this, but for me, when I started my admin journey, that imposter syndrome was significant. Significant. And again, it was when I transitioned into new roles. I've been extremely fortunate in my admin journey that I've had varied schools. I've worked in lots of alternative settings. I've worked as an elementary principal. I've worked as a vice principal of a section school. I'm in adult learning. And then to make the shift from elementary to secondary, what happens? Imposter syndrome. Again, I don't know. It's not embedded into my daily life. Everybody around me knows so much more than me. And you start to create that self-doubt. And oftentimes people think that if you are an administrator in the building, that you are confident and that you hold all of those skills that are necessary for this great leadership role. And I would honestly say that I'm not there, and I still struggle with that on a day-to-day, but I try to push myself out of my comfort zone for sure, and just trying to always put the pulse of the personal relationships at the forefront, because I truly do believe that guides everything else. So yeah, that imposter syndrome is a very real piece, and not just starting out, shifting as well.
Yeah. And to be honest, I don't know if we're ever experts, right? But it's nice that we always have a team of people, whether that's other administrators, but also the other people supporting us in the building, like support staff, guidance counselors, other teachers. It does take a whole team, and just because we're the administration doesn't mean we know how to do everything, right? And we're just part of the team.
Part of it.
And Heather's experiences in elementary. We'll dive into that later, but I can imagine it's like maybe starting somewhere as a new teacher. It's again establishing yourself as who you are and what you're all about, and it's really starting again. Like you said, even a new position, even though you've been experienced, people are going to come with judgments of you based on who knows what. What they've heard of you, what their friends said of you, what another teacher experienced from you, what maybe a student in your school, a parent experienced. So they come in with all these things, and you really are starting over again when you move a school or a role, even sometimes year over year. It's a fresh start, and that I agree that imposter syndrome probably doesn't ever fade completely.
No, not at all.
It's awesome. Thanks for that. So to continue on the conversation, you spoke a lot about kind of the lead up to becoming an admin, and the last question there. And what would you say that you love most about being in an administrative role?
Yeah, being an administrator does give me great joy, for sure. Right now, I'm part of an adult learning center, like you said, so I get to see impact on families, and I love that. So, for example, when we have our graduation, we will have students that are going up to get their diploma with a young mom with a child on her hip, and she's getting the diploma as the child is hugging her. And to me, that's joy, that's love, that's an exuberance of exactly why I'm in the role. And then we have, somebody who came back 2, 3, 4, 5 times to finally get that last credit to get their diploma, and they may be elderly, they may be 70 years old, and we have their family cheering for them, saying, "Way to go, Grandpa!" And that to me is it's just incredible to see. And when you see that, you just really understand that you're impacting not only that student that's in your building, but their family as well. And I am a true believer. I believe that when I was teaching, and I believe that as an administrator, and I think that that's what's led me to administration, is around supporting families as a whole. So when students are in the building and they're coming to me and they're having some challenges, the parents are the best experts. I go to them right away, and I don't try to build barriers. I try to include. And I think that that's a real hard thing to do, because it's hard to talk to a parent when you have to deal with a challenging conversation. But, I come at it through the lens of love and how we're going to kind of continue to push the student forward. But I need their help, and I also need their expertise, because they are the best experts on their own children. So I love seeing those personal relationships, and I love seeing kind of students and staff overcoming their own personal challenges. And I think what I love the most is being able to sit with them in those challenges, but then sit with them in the triumphs too. So there's kind of that parallel there. You need both. You need both.
Beautifully stated. I think, Matt and I talk about that quite a bit. Like, we, as an administrator, like you just put, we end up sitting with the families longer than you would as in your duration with them as a teacher, maybe, of that student. You get them maybe year over year, or in high school setting, it's like one semester with the teacher, and then we're still working with these families through some things. And some of our joys, they might seem small to people from the outside, but how big are they? Like when you mentioned the graduation, I'm not actually crying, but I could. It's not a video podcast here, but that's amazing, right? These families, and what it means to them to see like the looks on their faces of the families that are supporting these students that have overcome so much. Especially at adult learning. That's like, I'm sure you had wasn't many probably dry eyes in the house.
Not at all. And we're so lucky we have such great support from like the entire board. They often will come out to these graduations and there's not a dry eye. Yeah, we're pretty excited to see people succeed in that way. Yeah.
So obviously you see it at the end and you have a lot of joy there, but let's take on a daily basis. How do you bring the joy to the job each and every day to celebrate what you do?
Yeah, well, I mean, I have to be honest. There are days, Matt, that they're really, really tough. And there are days when the joy isn't present and you can feel it. It might have stemmed from, home. I've had a really tough morning, or I've had something that's been going on with my own family or my own children. And I'm kind of carrying that with me. And so that joy isn't as present as I walk in. So I know as an administrator, one of my jobs is to create calm, right? Create calm in the chaos and kind of be that mentor and that model of joy for others. It's part of my job. So I have to find a way to deliberately seek it when I get into the building, especially. So there are days when I have to step away. And oftentimes, and I know in my elementary principal days, what I would do, and teachers will account to this, they will say, if you need to find Heather, she'll be in the kindergarten classroom sitting on the carpet. At the Adult Learning Center, we have a daycare, and you'll see me in the daycare kind of connecting with kids and being there and being with students in their learning and immersing myself into the reason why I'm in the role, which is, for student learning and growth, and not only academically, but personally and socially and holistically as well. I think immersing yourself into the school culture, I would often go outside right before the recess bell would ring in elementary. And when the recess bell rings and those kids come out those doors to find their friends that are in other classes, the joy that's on their faces, you can't help but feel it. And so you just stand there and they're like coming at you, and then that gives you that rush, right? I would take a student that I know that's been struggling and bring them to the gym and we'd shoot some hoops, and just to see them settle and calm, that's what brings the joy. But I have to seek it. And by seeking it, I also, one of the other things that, I encourage lots of admin to do is to get into the classrooms and meet the teachers where they're at and tell them what a great job they're doing. Pick points out in the classroom at that point in time to say, I love this bulletin board and the way that you displayed the student work, or I love how you interacted with that student, because the more positivity you can exude when you're having a tough day, it just kind of starts to bleed through, and then you start to feel the joy. So even in those tough days, you got to get out and you got to seek it, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And I just feel like that must radiate amongst the staff too when you're doing that, and just it's got to be a boost, not just for you, but it's that whole idea of gratitude. Like, and I know I've read somewhere or listened to it somewhere that when we practice that gratitude towards other people, you're mentioning towards staff, like it's a big boost for us. It must be a boost for them as well.
Absolutely.
Right?
I think the key that you mentioned there is just the intentionality behind seeking it out. Because you can just get swallowed up in lots of things if you want to. And sometimes you get swallowed up and you don't want to, but you end up getting there anyway. So how do you get yourself out of that? And I know Matt always tells me he likes to he'll go to the cafeteria or just go find some students. And sometimes some of our challenging conversations are related to staff, quite frankly, not always
Yeah.
with students. So we got to kind of get our head out of that space and again, go back to the purpose, like you said. Like, our purpose is to improve the lives of these students, and what better way than doing what you're describing, like going with this challenging student to the gym to shoot hoops. Like, that's like right to the heart of it, right? And again, that's going to impact you in your day, and that's going to radiate through the staff, right? So intentionality to me is huge. And how do you keep that at the forefront, I guess?
Yeah, I remember when I was in elementary, we used to have to do kindergarten registration, and then we would do these kindergarten welcome nights to kindergarten, welcome to kindergarten nights. And these parents would come in, and you would just see it in their eyes how fearful they were, of sending their little one off to school. And here I am as a principal, saying, it's going to be great, but they didn't believe me, right? And I would tell them all the wonderful things. I'd tell them all about our amazing staff, and I have been incredibly blessed with having incredible people to work with. And then I remember I used to always say, we are going to have a 10-year relationship. You and I are going to be in this together for 10 years. And the feedback that I would get from the parents afterward that said that was the moment that they felt calm. And so the fact that I could do that with them at that moment in time, we knew we were going to be okay. No matter what challenges come forward, they have to trust me with their children each and every day. And so I think about that 10-year relationship. That's a long time.
It's a commitment.
That's a commitment. And you may not like everybody, but you gotta figure out a way to live together in the school and to encourage and continue the growth in the students, right? No matter what. So I always am reminded of that these are relationships that we're building, and it may be 10 years, it may be 1 month, but it's going to be impactful. And every time you leave me, I'm gonna try to ensure that you're leaving in a positive way. As much as you can be, right? Like, being present for each other, I think is really key. Yeah.
And what better way to instill confidence in a parent than saying, we got this.
Yeah, we got this.
And meaning it.
I mean, yeah.
Right? Like, and feeling it. You're feeling it, right? That's huge.
Yeah.
Like, as a parent of small children in the school system, if I hear that from the leader of the school, I'm going to feel calm.
Yeah.
Right?
They're giving us their greatest gift,
That's
right?
And
oftentimes, the little ones are crying as they're coming in, and you feel that they are terrified.
Oh, yeah.
They are terrified, especially that first entry into kindergarten. They're used to being at home and sleeping and eating and snack time and all that they want, but they get into the school structure, it's tough, right? And so being out there, again, talking about that entire family unit, and how many times do the teachers just take the children with this beautiful guiding hand, and I'm out with the parents saying, we got this. This is what we're going to do. This is how I'm going to support you. And really working with the family unit, that's what moves kids.
It's amazing.
Right?
Okay, awesome. Let's talk a little bit about your experience as a teacher. So how would you say that those experiences prepared you for your role in administration, school administration?
Okay, so teaching, the crux of my teaching was really mostly in intermediate, so grades 7 and 8. That was kind of like my bread and butter. I just loved that age group. I had one administrator who really wanted me in primary for the 1 year, and I did it, and I loved it, and I learned so much. However, I was really drawn to the age group of intermediate. But to know and understand how a child learns to read is one of the most incredible skills that I believe teachers at every level should know and understand. How to formulate these letters into words that make sentences to express themselves. It was just such great learning for me. But teaching taught me everything I know about being an administrator. When I started teaching, it was kind of like a boot camp. I remember those early days where I was just trying to figure out classroom management, organization of my classroom, how to set up student work, how to facilitate transitions and moves with, how are you going to walk kids down a hallway? How are they going to go to the library, to the gym? All those sorts of pieces, and that really helped me, be flexible in my thinking, and it helped me also know that my way isn't always the correct way, or my way isn't always what's needed at this point in time. And so I think that really bodes well in administration, because being flexible in your thinking and with whoever's in front of you to try to figure out a way to move forward forward, I think I did learn with regards to my teaching role. I also solidified my belief when I was teaching that in order to teach students to learn, I also need to understand who they really are as people. And so giving them time to be their authentic selves and creating that safe space like we talked about. I did that. That was like a real big piece for me when I was a teacher, and it was kind of my priority. And I think I've carried that into administration, but I think I've done that with the staff now. Like, I think I bring the staff in and I try to create that safe space for them that they can be their authentic selves, pull out the strengths that they have and let that shine. And then try to figure out where my gaps are so I can kind of help solidify people to go into those roles too. So I think teaching has really, honestly, it's taught me everything I know. I think teachers make great principals. I really do.
You said a lot there.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm rambling on.
I'm just trying to unpack it in my own mind.
I got something. I'll start.
You start.
I love what you said about, well, first of all, there's a theme emerging here that you're a lifelong learner and that you're very perceptive and you're thinking throughout this whole journey and learning along the way of every experience that you have. That's a clear theme that obviously is emerging here, which is amazing. That's why you're the great leader that you are. But when you talked about going to primary and the magic of learning to read and write or whatever, I had that experience with my own child. I'm thinking, like, this is a miracle happening here. Like, I get that what we're doing at the secondary school, there's things students are learning, they're building on previous learning, but like that first step of like learning to read and write, I'm like, it's magic. And I would see like weeks at a time, like my kid's getting better. I'm like, wow, I almost couldn't even understand it, right? And maybe I should go learn it because I'm like, I know I did it when I was a kid, but I think it's magic. I'm like, I would tell my wife, these teachers are making magic. Yes. Like, it's unbelievable, right? Yeah. So, but you clearly picked up on that as like, wow, this is like the coolest thing ever, right?
It was the coolest thing ever. And then I walked back into my grade 8 classroom so much better for it.
Absolutely.
So much better for it. And those students that really struggled, I got it. Yeah. I was like, this isn't a behavior thing. This is something else right now. And I was able to pinpoint, instructional practice that I could put towards that to help them gain the confidence to do the work. And I couldn't have got that if I didn't go into those lower grades. So I'm really grateful that administrator pushed me.
It's amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and just go a different direction. I can appreciate how that comment you said, teachers make great administrators, because while we don't know how to do the job, right? We're not prepared for it. We show up. We do have imposter syndrome, 100%. Yeah. But you're building your skill the whole time. Like, whether you're being organized and you're organizing how people go down the hall, or you're running a team or a club or whatever, you're really developing all those soft skills that we need to apply every day with parents and families and students and community members. And we are honing our craft as teachers to prepare us to move into administration. Mm-hmm. Right?
Absolutely.
So for people who are thinking they're not developing any of those skills, they absolutely are on a daily basis. Yeah.
And ask people. Find those critical friends, right? If you are thinking about discerning leadership in any way, the recognition of what you're already currently doing and identifying it as a leadership skill is essential. But sometimes you need to ask somebody to kind of shine it for you. Yeah. You need to say, what do you think I'm doing? That shows leadership, because we're worst enemies sometimes, right? We kind of hide a little bit.
We downplay our
strengths, right? Yeah, for sure. Yeah. For sure.
That's a great point. I have one question for you, and a curveball maybe a little bit.
Okay.
So you were talking about changing roles quite a bit and imposter syndrome. I'm not going to say make you give an absolute answer, but how valuable is it changing into a role that maybe you don't have that much comfort with, where in terms of growth? Yeah. Want to talk about that a bit?
Sure. Yeah. No. Definitely. I think it was a big challenge for me, because you want to do what's safe. You want to do what's easy. You want to do what makes life kind of tick. It's easy. I can get up. I can go to the routine. I kind of know how to walk into an elementary school, and I knew how to lead that school community to the best of my ability. Could leaders have done it better? Absolutely. But I tried really hard to do the best that I could. Walking into a completely different, just in the way that it's run, that was jarring to me. So being an elementary principal, I didn't have a team. I was a sole administrator in a building. And as much as, you have critical friends or mentors that you could call upon, I wasn't able to do that in the moment sometimes. Right. So when things happen, in a hallway or in a classroom, you are thinking on your feet, you are making decisions, having courageous conversations, and moving on. And then also having that reflective practitioner piece where, you got to say, did I do that okay? What else should I have done? You're doing that alone in isolation. I would have loved to be able to go into a room and close a door and just go, okay, I need some help here. I need some validation that I'm doing, that this decision is okay. What do you think? And having that critical lens. Now I get that. So I'm in secondary now with the Adult Center, and I'm able to do that on the daily, multiple times a day. And I didn't realize the value of that in terms of my growth. I am so much more confident in my decision making within the team than I was when I was on my own. And sometimes when you don't feel that confidence, that shakes you a bit. Right? Because you are really responsible for so many things.
True.
I don't have, we have one admin assistant.
That's right.
You have me, and you've got, a special education teacher that
That's
you
right.
really rely on, CYCW and the staff, but you're really alone in those big decisions and all of the repercussions that could come from that. So I think my growth in terms of my own confidence, because I've been able to connect with other administrators in the building at the moment, at the time, has been solidified. So that's been a great learning for me, for sure.
That's a great perspective. Yeah, you handled that curveball pretty well.
It's true, though. You get a chance to just, and most of the times if we're really busy at secondary setting, we might not talk, but when there's something we really need to chew on together, we do it. Yeah. And it can happen in the moment, and it can happen, it can happen a few times a day. Because there's that proximity, and you start to get on the same page as to how we're responding to certain things. Whereas I can't imagine being completely alone in those conversations. And like you said, you might have a key person in the building that you can kind of lean on, but you're not going all the way.
No, you can't.
You can't go all the way. Where we have the luxury of being able to do that. Mind you, there's lots of other things that go with it, but that is a huge thing. And I think for growth, you can literally reflect almost right in the moment.
That's right, all the time.
It's amazing. You're the next day we come back with a better idea. It's okay, because we just went through that. How we handle it tomorrow? Where you're by yourself, you might have to mull on that all night.
Yes.
Get outside counsel. This is more work.
It's a lot. And then also, when you come to a decision as a team, but you're the one that's delivering it, the next day when you come back, you know that the people have your back.
Yes.
That you've got a corner that can also explain why a decision was made or whatever.
100%.
And I think that that's powerful too.
Huge.
Now, I have a question for you guys.
Oh, good.
Sorry.
We like
curveballs. Do you think that, we're talking about elementary and secondary panels, do you think that there's some worth to even some of the secondary folks kind of taking a little, not a stint, but spending some time in elementary? Do you think that there's some differences there? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I'll go first.
Yeah, go for it.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, that's okay. Yeah, I would have to say yes, of course. Definitely, just speaking personally, that would be out of my comfort zone, but to again handle a school in a different way with a different set of problems, right? Or problems is the wrong word, but different issues, and support families in a different way. Again, where you're the sole person, or you're dealing with the foundational skills that you're trying to work with students, whether that's academic or personal or whatever that might be. You would really get to know families, right? And you would have that 10-year relationship with them. And you would really know a building and a community in a different way. Because I have a wondering that, do families care more about their kiddos' experience in elementary and the support from the school versus when they get to high school? Is it more of a handoff, okay, now they got this? Because, that graduation, I think from grade 8, is a graduation not just for the kids moving to a different school, but for the parents in a way too, to say, okay, now you're a bit older, you're going to have more responsibility. And the way we communicate with home through the classes and the teachers here might be a lot different than what's expected in elementary. So again, it would certainly offer a different perspective that, can only add to your own toolbox, right? Your own skill set.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I think it's a good idea because it's definitely different. Like Matt said about parent engagement. I know we talked about it too, even with our parent council involvement at secondary versus elementary, and it's I think it's just a product of where people are at in the timeline of their life. Also for parents and also for students, like there's a natural tendency in adolescence to push back, and maybe parent and student aren't as on a same front, united front about issues relative to when they're younger, or the parent might have more relative authority when they're younger, so the engagement might be different. But in terms of like being alone in a place, I think that would be a really valuable experience for secondary, and even like both ways. Just see the different challenges that come up and where you're focusing more of your time. Like I know where we focus a lot of our time. I'm curious, what's that like in elementary? And with a bigger staff, we end up with a lot of staff things, HR things, like over like 120 teachers in the building.
Yeah.
It's just the volume of that is a lot, so we get taken away maybe sometimes from the joy things you're talking about. And they all present different challenges. But I think I'd like to go sit on the carpet in kindergarten. Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely, and use your
but
singing
then I gotta go home
voice.
after.
You gotta use your singing voice.
I'll sing, but I'm gonna go home at the end of the day. Maybe one day.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And that's one of the things that I found too as an elementary principal. Like I have children at home that I care for, and like exuding that energy. I'm not naturally an extrovert at all. I am very much an introvert, but I feel that there's elements of this role that you have to kind of be that extroverted person because the kids need it. The kids need you to be that. And so for me to go home at the end of the day, I was tired. Like I was really tired because it exuded all of this energy out of in trying to be that extrovert for the kids. And then my own kids at home would need me too, right? And so trying to find that balance, that was something that I definitely had to deliberately focus on and find ways to kind of create balance in my life. Yeah.
I think you're kind of going to another question that we're wondering about is there any advice you have for people who are thinking about aspiring to a role of an administrator while they're a teacher? Like, what are some of the things that they should be considering or working on, or I'll leave that up to you.
Yeah, I think for anybody who's discerning leadership, I think just be ready for anything. It kind of encompasses all. It encompasses all. It encompasses your vulnerabilities. You will be placed in vulnerable situations. It encompasses your confidence. You'll have the chance to shine if you want that for sure. And it encompasses kind of your ability to connect on a different level with staff and students in the building. I do think shifting to secondary a little bit, I definitely spend more and more time with supporting staff to support students because of the sheer volume, again, of the numbers. And those connections and relationships are extremely important. So I think harnessing kind of your own development in your personal relationships, and how do you communicate? How do you have presence in a room, and how do you be present for somebody? So it's really not all about you. And so when you enter into a room and you're sitting down talking with somebody, whether you are celebrating or whether you are having a really challenging conversation, you need to be present, you need to listen, and you need to be ready for that, because this is if you feel like the administration puts you kind of as like the top person in the school, you're mistaken. Like,
great
for
point.
me,
No,
like my
experience
experience has
same.
not been that at all. It
Same.
is, I am the most vulnerable that I've ever been, because I'm faced with so many challenges that I really want to be deliberate in my thinking to continue that relationship with that family, because even if I've had a troubling day with a family, they're coming back the next day, and I still want to hold that relationship strong and tight. And I would just say for new administrators to be ready for that and be ready to be vulnerable and not just shine and show. That's what I think I would give to new administrators.
Yeah, we're always on the hot seat, right?
Yeah.
And we do have to own the relationship piece where, we don't have a choice to say, hey, you're going to go to a different school now, right? Like, we're welcoming those families back, and we have to maintain a relationship or figure out how we're going to move forward and build that relationship back up if there's been some damage done there too, right? We have to own that responsibility. I agree.
I also think too, like like what I thought administration was going to be with regards to my day to day, the timing's way off. Like I thought I would have so much time with like instructional practice and
tell
really
me about
pushing,
it.
like pushing
Yes.
those pieces. And there are days when
Yep.
that's
happen.
absolutely
Yep.
it can happen. But boy, oh boy, is a lot spent. Really trusting and building and creating safe spaces, and that takes time. And it's important you put the time in. You can't rush through those things. So yeah, building the instructional program is an area that I definitely try to do when we come together as a collective, and really try to push that thinking. However, the day to day it's really encompassed by the relationships and conversation.
I love what you said about just being more vulnerable the further you go up, I guess, in the ladder, the title, right? Like you really are, you get the principal tag, but like you're completely vulnerable, and you have to kind of, I think, give into that and just understand you're exposed to a lot of elements, and being okay with that, and being okay to like change your mind on something, and you really are vulnerable. I think you nailed it. Like,
there's things you don't know.
That's right.
Like when I went to secondary, facilities is in my portfolio. I didn't know a lot about facilities.
Yeah, Matt's learning right now.
There you go. Yes.
And that was a challenge for me when our washrooms suddenly didn't work, and I'm supposed to be the expert on how to fix all this. So
and you have a lot.
And we have a lot. We have a lot of campuses and a lot of sites. And I would go home and I would share these conversations, with my husband, saying, "Oh, I'm trying to figure out the washrooms or the sewer system or the HVAC," and he's like, I remember him questioning, going, "What are you doing there? Like, are you an administrator there?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm a vice principal." And he would just laugh because he would never have thought that would be part of the role, but it is. And the learning that comes from that. What I do love about facilities is that you get to know every crevice of the building and all the people within it. So you really
That's what we talked about.
Yeah, okay.
You get to liaise with so many different groups of people, yes.
Yes, and all different people from across the board level as well, right? Because you're always calling in for support. So that's what you think the job is. Sometimes there's some nuances that, I never expected for sure.
And didn't I say thank you for giving me the facilities?
You actually did.
But you didn't want it at first? Is that it?
No, not that I didn't want it, but I actually appreciate that I'm doing it now. Because of all those things that you just said.
And I can appreciate that's a lot of work. So when you said thank you, I was like, are you sure? You're like, no, I'm serious. Like, thank you. I've been able to connect with these people that I wouldn't have talked to had I not had that portfolio. And you're learning a lot about like building maintenance and who does what.
Oh, absolutely.
Because there's sometimes, let's just face it, like a lot of the times just an email with a name, we don't see all these people, and we just got to conceptualize in our mind with the org chart that we have. But now you're getting to know these people and what they do and how they help. And like the building actually does, I know it sounds dumb, but it helps create an environment where the people can thrive.
Yeah, it's
an important part of the job. And like you said about talking to your husband, same thing. I'll tell my wife what happened the day. She's like, "How is that your job?" I'm like, everything's our job. Everything anything that can happen, it's us. Right?
It is.
Yeah, it's our responsibility. So that's amazing.
For sure.
All right. So balancing demanding career and personal life can be obviously present a challenge. How have you managed to balance your professional ambitions, let's call them, or roles with motherhood?
Okay. Yeah, that's a tough one. I come from a very busy family, and not only is it busy due to time, but it's busy due to my kiddos needing like my undivided attention. So I have a child that I care for that has some significant special needs, and so when I'm home, I have to be home. So shutting down that computer and kind of turning over that phone and making sure that I'm completely present for them, you have to shift gears. You just have to. And I try to get a lot of conversation in the daily tasks. So as I'm preparing dinner, as I'm making lunches, I'm having those good conversations with my kiddos at home so that I feel like I'm doing an okay job, right? But it's tough. Like, it is tough because the job sometimes warrants some extra work for sure. And sometimes I'll have to do that when the kiddos go to bed. And that's okay. As long as I know that each and every day when I'm with them, I'm going to be with them. I think that's really important. I also, continue. I'm a lifelong learner for sure, and I have dreams and ambitions. And again, I have shifted. What's really great is that this role has allowed me to have so many different roles within. And Matt, you've done lots of different things as well, and as you have. And I think in secondary, there is that opportunity to kind of shift and move a little bit
different
more.
Leadership opportunities.
Different leadership opportunities within. But I think for myself, being a teacher, and then partaking in different board committees, being a vice principal, being a principal, shifting from secondary, elementary, like all those pieces. Not many jobs can offer you that varied experience. So I take it. Like if it's going to be presented to me, I'm going to think about it, and I'm probably going to move forward because I do like change, because I like to learn a lot. And I also love the fact that I know what the core is of why I do what I do. And so connecting with Laurier now and being a teacher there, that has really kind of helped fill my passion bucket, or whatever you want to call it. But I really think it's important to really hone in on those practices and to make sure that you really are living your life, that soul searching piece. What makes you happy, right? And if that's reading on the front porch, that's great, because I love that too. If that's, playing, I know a lot of my colleagues they're loving the pickleball craze right now, going out and playing pickleball. That's great. And for me, it's being with new teachers. I love that. I could do that all day long and not get paid for it, but don't tell them that. But I just love doing that. And so I think being able to transition to Laurier and do some of those pieces, that's been really fulfilling for me. And I hope to continue to kind of find my ambitions and keep going after them. Yeah.
It's amazing. The one part, I'm going to pick on one little part, because I love what you said about just blocking out time to be with your family. And obviously, Matt and I have discussed that as well, how we do that and strategies to do that. It's a work in progress for me too, it's hard. They deserve our time too. And I think when I was, and probably similar to you, pursuing further education, like doing the master's. I know you and I talked on the phone about the master's program. You called me the one day and said, "Sure, this is this okay? I don't know if I want to go here or here," and we were talking about different options, but there is still hard work that is part of that. I think sometimes, I know definitely Matt and I for sure, we can give off the impression that it's all good, it's all good, but there's hard work. Mm-hmm. We can't shy away. There's hard work, and sometimes we are doing that work in some different hours. I know I did. Mm-hmm. When my kids were down for the night, that's when I'd open my laptop. I'd be doing some of the research for my master's. I'd be doing my AQs, whatever. Yeah. And that's sometimes the reality of it. So it's not, you're not always going to get it within the confines of the school day, right, to further yourself. So it does take that prioritizing, but there's work.
Yeah, and it reminds me too, when staff come to us, and they too need to be with their families.
Right.
And they're struggling because something's going on at home or whatever the case may be. And as an administrator, to be able to find the time for them to do that, that's it. You need to do that. Your staff is your family. You need to support them as you hope you would be supported in the same situation. So I'm always cognizant of that. We need our families. That's who we go home to.
That's who we go home to.
You can't do this job without support at home. That's a given, I would say, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a family decision to go into administration.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Not that I have to have permission, but it is a family decision to talk about it and say, this is, this part of my life may be compromised in terms of hours and stuff. Are we going to be okay with that? Yeah. Yeah.
So, Heather, you're our first guest. Thanks for coming on. So we better give Heather the last word here.
Oh, boy.
So is there anything that you want to add that, we may have missed that you can, add to our podcast?
Well, being the first guest definitely this is out of my comfort zone completely.
Oh, I can't tell.
Doing the podcast, but it's not something I have ever thought that I would ever be part of. But no, thanks for inviting me. I just love having kind of collegial conversations and talking about the craft, right? And I love it. I do really love it. The only thing that I would say, I guess, is I just want people to remember what a privilege it is to be in this role, and how important it is that we remember that we are here to serve. And I think, and that can come from my faith background, but it's also just kind of a holistic way to say, I love what I do. I'm here to support you in whatever journey you're in, and I will meet you there. I'll meet you where you're at, and we'll go to the next step. It may not be all the way, but I'll get you a little bit further. And I think for me, that's kind of that push that I will always kind of center and ground myself around those values. And that's it. I've talked way too much.
No, it's beautiful.
Thank you very much for inviting me today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, that was amazing. Okay, we said she was going to have the last word, but I had to say something. Is that okay?
Yeah, go for it.
Thank you for doing
you're
this.
very welcome.
And we asked you because of what you just said in the last few sentences about the joy you do bring to it. It's obvious the way that you speak about the role, that you feel it is a privilege and that you feel like just happy to serve, and knowing that that's what we're doing here. I'm hoping that through the podcast that we are speaking to people that have a similar heart for education. They hear what you're saying and go, wow, that's inspiring. I want to be that too, and I want to serve that way. So it comes across the way you speak very clearly. So thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
With us.
Yeah. And thank you to our listeners as well of the Becoming a Principal podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave us a review. We'll be back next week with more stories and advice from the world of school leadership. Until then, keep striving and inspiring.